When should you, as a photographer, as a creative, when should you be working for free? And my response to this, what I believe we should be doing, might surprise you. Are you tired of the endless stream of fantasy marketing and vanity metrics? Yeah, so am I. My name is James Patrick, and I'm an internationally published photographer, media specialist, and marketing strategist. As a creative entrepreneur, I face the same exact frustrations you have, being bombarded by generic advice that promises success but never lives up to the hype. We need to move beyond the posturing, beyond the facade, beyond the image to navigate the unique challenges we face as creatives. Together, we're going to dive into real stories, real strategies, and the real work that can lead to the real results. This is the Beyond the Image podcast. What is going on? And thank you so much for tuning into our latest episode of the Beyond the Image podcast. I'm Riley. You can take some time to get some information, get a little inspiration, help you in your creative entrepreneurial journey. So if you've followed me on social media for any length of time, and if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know I spend a lot of time beating up on cheap clients who try to take advantage of photographers by either offering low rates or no rates for campaigns. So you might think my answer to the inquiry of when should a photographer work for free would be never. But actually, the real response and the way I truly feel is when should a photographer work for free? Whenever the hell they want to. And this comes with a pretty big asterisk, as we need to understand what it means to be working as a photographer. So, do I think that photographers should be approaching clients who have budgets, who have the resources, and shooting commercial campaigns, shooting editorial campaigns, shooting things that go into the marketplace? Do I think that we should be offering our services for free? No, I really don't necessarily, because those are things that others are being paid to do. So I don't think offering your services for free in a way to get new clients is an appropriate action, or in a way to take work from someone else. Hey, I'll just do it for free. That might not be the best approach, because you're going to pigeonhole yourself as the cheap person or as the free photographer. And it's really hard to get a client to pay you after you've been working for free for however long. But whenever you want. So when do you want? Well, I'll give you some examples of when I choose to shoot for free, which is actually not uncommon. The first is when I want to add something to my portfolio that I don't have in my portfolio. An example would be a couple years ago, I decided to do a personal photo project. It was a photo essay of all the ranchers and all the farmers that lived in the surrounding area of where I had my home. I was just curious about the history of where I was living, and farming and ranching was such a prolific part of the history of that area that I just wanted to go out and take some photos. So I did. I introduced myself to a handful of the families out there. I had them introduce me to others, and I ended up shooting portraits of them. I wasn't paid for this, but I was able to make some really cool imagery that I just wanted to have in my portfolio. So I was having a lot of fun doing this, and there wasn't a commercial idea behind this. These were just imagery that I wanted to create. I did the same thing when it came to working with the Jewish War Veterans Association. So I teamed up with the Jewish War Veterans Association. They're a nonprofit organization, which is another reason you might want to shoot for free, because it's for a cause that you believe in. But I got the opportunity to work with dozens and dozens of war veterans from every major conflict the U.S. has been in, dating back to World War II, and make imagery that I wanted to make for my portfolio. And the exchange was, hey, I'll take a photo for you that you can have as well, or that your family can have, or a photo of your family together. In exchange, I just want a headshot of each of these veterans. And some of these images that I was able to make are cornerstone imagery in my portfolio to this day. And I wasn't paid for any of that, but the opportunities that I got from working on those photos has been immeasurable. I've gotten so many projects, so many campaigns, so many awards because of that project that I just did for free because it was an interest of mine. It was a passion project of mine. There might be an opportunity where I work for trade. So, for example, this hasn't happened, but let's just say Lego called me up. No, probably not Lego. Let's say a local coffee shop said, "Hey, we'd love to get some photos to use for our social media. In exchange, we'll hook you up with coffee anytime you come into our coffee shop." And for those that know me, I'm a little bit of a coffee addict. One would say aficionado, others would say addict. To support a local business that I'm maybe already a patron of already and get free coffee in exchange for making cool photos, by all means, please sign me up. Or there are magazines that I've worked with that have a specific reach that I will get a full page ad in the magazine for working on a campaign for them. And you might think, well, doesn't the magazine have a budget for that? Some do and some don't. And the ones that don't, if I want to work on the project, mind you, it's a project I want to work on. The first thing I said going into this was whenever we want to. If it's not a project I want to do, if it's a project that's not interesting to me or I have no curiosity of pursuing, or it's a subject that I could care less about, or it's a project that I feel I should be being paid for, well, I won't do it for free. I'll just say, well, I would apply my rate to this, and if they can choose to accept that or not. Maybe it's a certain subject where they say, hey, we're going to put a certain subject in front of your camera. I was a fan of a certain TV show in the 90s that took place on a beach and everyone wore red. And a magazine called me and asked me to photograph one of the stars from that show for a feature. Yeah, I would absolutely adore to shoot that feature. 15-year-old me would be kicking my future self if I said no to this. Or some of the professional athletes that I've gotten to work with, I've been able to work with, but I wasn't paid to work with them. I was working on a trade agreement with a publication or with a publicist. But those photos that I got, and I'll give a specific example. I had the opportunity to work with a first round draft pick for the Arizona Cardinals, and the magazine did not have a budget. I was paid for this, but it was such a nominal fee. I want to say it was like $100 maybe. And I spent that much in gas and hiring an assistant for the photo shoot. So I lost money doing the shoot, but I got to take photos of this first round draft pick. And honestly, I would have done it for free, especially in retrospect. I got to photograph this first round draft pick for a couple hours and make the imagery I want to make. Well, those photos got me in to meet with Sports Illustrated. Those photos got me in to meet with Muscle and Fitness magazine, with Men's Health magazine. Those photos. Okay. So there was an opportunity trade-off. And I've talked about how I value a project. I look at, well, how fun or how much creative control do I get on the project? What's the financial value of the project? And then the third is, what's the opportunity of the project? And the third one, the latter one, is something that we as creatives, we as photographers, we're the ones deciding that. No one can tell you what a project is worth. Oh, this project's going to be a great opportunity for you. Well, that'd be a red flag. But when you look at a situation and you can assess those three pillars, well, what is the creative control that I get on this project? A. B, what is the financial value of those projects? And oftentimes those two values are inversely related. The more creative control you get on a project, the less you might be paid. The more you might be paid, the less creative control you might get on a project. And then the third is that opportunity value. What is the opportunity that I could have by working on this project? And I've said yes to a lot of projects that I was not paid for because I personally saw an opportunity in the project, and I was able to campaign that, whatever that project was, I was able to campaign that to build my business moving forward. So when should you work for free? Whenever you want. Whether you're working for free because it's just fun, maybe you're a new photographer and you're just practicing. Maybe you're doing it because you're getting a intangible value out of the project, or maybe there's an opportunity, or maybe there's a trade that is happening. And if elite level photographers or top level photographers are saying that people who work for free are just stealing work from others, and I genuinely do not believe they are. When I'm working for some of my top clients, They would not take me seriously if I said I would do it for free. They might not continue to work with me if I said I would do it for free, because they'd assume there's some catch or that I was desperate to get into the project. Professional teams are not calling on amateur athletes to replace their top paid talent. There's a reason that they're hiring the people that they're hiring. There's a reason those people are assessing the rates that they're assessing. Now, that's on a grand scale. I don't believe that we as creatives should be trying to be predatory and trying to steal clients just by offering a lower rate. I think that hurts. But outside of that, which I don't think happens as much as we think or we'd like to say it does, outside of that, if you see a benefit in working for free, work for free. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Beyond the Image podcast. As always, I appreciate you subscribing on YouTube, for dropping your 5-star review on Apple, for sharing this podcast with a friend. Hope you all are having a great week. We'll talk to you all in the next episode. Take care, everyone.